Make your voice heard. Join the Council for the Model Aquatic Health Code. Lend your expertise to the MAC, science-based guidance from the CDC and the only all-inclusive national pool code that addresses current aquatic issues. Learn more at cmac.org. That's cmahc.org.
Hey everybody, it is Taco Tuesday with Kelli and Dan. Dan, how was your vacation?
Oh, my vacation was a vacation that I needed very badly. It was
Did you
wonderful.
actually vacation or were you on
I
your phone?
not well, okay, so I can't get totally away, but it was very, very limited by comparison. So
Okay.
it honestly, for many, many years, my vacations are a 40-hour work week away from the office, as opposed to an 80-hour work week at the office.
Okay.
But this one, it was pretty limited, and I'm really lucky that we've got great staff that are able to keep things going and not need a whole lot from me when I'm not around, and that makes it easier. And we were in Riviera Maya, Mexico for a week with very, very good friends and some of their family. There were actually a group of 16 of us at the Hard Rock down there. And a very cool part of it was one of the many, many pools that they have at that facility was uh, being prepped for plaster while I was there. And although
Oh,
they
you
built
were in
these
heaven, weren't
I
you?
was, although they built these really, Disney-esque walls around it that you couldn't see. I happened to wait outside the door until some guy came out, and then I kind of let myself in and wandered around, took some pictures, talked to the guys that were in there chipping away at the plaster and putting it in these little, almost like burlap bags. It was really pretty amazing to see the amount of effort they went into to minimize the disturbance to the resort.
Okay.
Something that, as a company that works primarily on residential, and we do have some commercial work, but primarily residential, if we have a replaster job or any kind of, we're never worried about that, right? We just go in there and blast away, make noise, make a
Yeah.
mess, clean it up on your way out, and off you go. Well, they can find everything in these walls, and in the middle of the night they would load these bags of chipped out plaster into the back of a golf cart kind of a thing and quietly take it off site somewhere. I don't know where, but
Oh, that's cool.
I wish I could have been there longer because a huge, huge pool, the portion of it they were doing, and they had just about finished the prep work by the time we were gone. So it would have been neat to see the whole project, come around. But fingers crossed, I'll be back next year and be able to see the
How beautiful it
results
is.
after the fact. Yeah, so very cool. But thanks for asking. It was a great
Yeah.
time.
Well, I knew you were excited for it.
Yep. Did you missed me while I was gone, right?
Of course. It was weird not recording last week.
Yeah, yeah. Give
You
give
know,
give us an off week for a chance here for a bit.
right? Um, so we have a new sponsor to our show, CMAHC, the Council for the Model Aquatic Health Code. So
Exactly.
they do influence, things that happen and changes that are made in our industry to better the health and safety of our industry and those people around. That this organization is huge and very important to have because, our industry, even though it's small, it's still large. And all of us do have a voice, but it's hard for us to take the time and express that. And so if we have an organization that can kind of be the leader in our, what would be the word? What we want as an industry. So pretty
Yeah.
much
Yeah,
you
they
do
they
it for us
listen.
because you know what we want.
Yeah, exactly. And they listen to. So, one of the recent things, if I recall correctly, was relative to cyanuric acid levels, right?
Yeah.
And um, they wanted to raise the maximum level and listen to those of us in the industry that voiced our concerns about that and refrained from changing the standard from what it is to something that would have been, I think, almost double the max level, if I remember right. I
Yeah,
might be
it was
wrong on
like,
that, but
I think they were talking about bringing it up to like 180 parts per million.
Right. And a lot of these types of standards are, and I know, Rudy talks about this all the time. They're standards that are sort of black and white book kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
People that don't have a whole lot of real world experience dealing with pools that have high bather loads, 100,000 gallons, 10,000 gallons, hot tubs, all these different environments. And, the aspect of CMAQ listening to all the voices and everything relative to the CYA being curtailed, if you will. It's a testament to what they're about.
Yeah, so thank you for supporting us. Very excited. Please check into them and see what they're about and if they can help you in any way. But today we will actually be talking with Todd from IPSA. IPSA is one of our sponsors and a organization that I'm part of. And even though I wasn't an official member, I have always been a member since the dawn of time for me. As some of you know, my dog was named IPSA. Pretty sad, I know. But
that's dedication. That's not sad. Come on. That's dedication. But
that
with that,
dedication.
when you were mad at your dog, did you call him by her full name and Independent Pool and Spa Service Association, get your butt over here.
Kelli and Dan will be right back after these messages.
Have you heard there is a group of pool service professionals nationwide that are here to help grow and protect your business? The Independent Pool and Spa Service Association, known as IPSA, is here to help you. By joining the largest trade organization created by and for pool and spa service techs, you gain access to industry networking opportunities, exclusive educational offerings, IPSA's Tech for Tech route coverage, and more. So be independent, supported, and part of a professional community. Go to ipssa.com to learn how to be a member of IPSA today.
I love IPSA. I've been a part of it for a long time, and I think a lot of you know that I'm a big supporter of it. So, Todd, thank you for coming and talking with us.
Thank you for having me.
I'm sorry, but
No,
Todd, this is like a fantastic experience for me because coming from the Midwest and an area that what IPSA really, their core assistance in the industry is the Midwest doesn't have a whole lot of independent people out there. The people that are kind of an individual and a maybe a second or something like that, or a husband and a wife team out doing things, or a wife and a husband team out doing things. So for me, this is great to have a chance to talk to you and to hear about all that IPSA has that you can offer to those types of.
Yeah, but now, see, I consider you an independent.
Yeah.
Yep. You control your destiny of your company. You are the founder. You run the company. So you don't answer to a corporation. So I consider you an independent person, an independent business owner.
Okay. See, so I'm learning already. That's fantastic. Though the aspect of all that IPSA is, and I've through the years have had a lot of David Hawes is a good friend and someone that I speak to frequently on different things. I know it was and is, I think, still very involved in IPSA. Is that right?
Yes. Yep. He actually just came off the board last year.
Okay, good. Is he retiring from IPSA now? He's about to do, I think, right?
Actually, I've reached out to him for some education opportunities that I would like him to do. So no, he's not retiring from IPSA.
Yeah,
I won't let him.
I don't think anybody will let him.
He like many of us are never going to retire from this. This industry has the ability of not only pulling people back to it when they try to leave in other ways by jumping to other industries and other jobs and such, but it has a way of never leaving. It becomes part of us very early on, and and David's a perfect example of that, and always willing to give back and such. So at any rate, I'm thrilled to have you on, and thrilled to have you guys helping us as being a sponsor, and love to spend some time today hearing more about what IPSA has to offer for our industry.
Great.
So I guess what we should start with is, what is IPSA for those people who may not know?
IPSA is a service association that basically most of my members range anywhere from, I don't know, the mid 20s to well over 60 years old. By becoming a member of IPSA, we offer an insurance program as a member. You have what we call Tech for Tech sick route policy, where those guys that are the single polars kind of gives them a peace of mind that if they were to get hurt or break a leg or cancer or whatever the case may be, the guys in their chapter would take care of their route while they mended their problems of whatever that may be. We are more of a resource center now. We're trying to convert IPSA into a resource center where I can take companies of 1 and 2 people to companies of 100 people and be able to come to IPSA and get the answer or get the education or get the mentorship that you would need. So I would say IPSA right now is kind of a jack of all trades for the professional. We're trying to make you more professional. We would like to see, this industry has given me a lot. And I kind of cringe the day you see the guy with the flip flops and the tank top, and it's kind of air conditioning companies and plumbers get paid on the job, but yet pool guys seem to have to bill everybody. So let's bring professionalism into this and prove that we're worthy of the word professionalism.
That's great. So you said insurance. Relative to that, what does IPSA have to offer for companies relative to insurance?
As a single polar, the policy that, as I should say, when I say single polar, I'm usually meaning a 1 or a 2 man operation. It's a policy that carries a $3 million. It's written through Aero Hub International. It has workmanship. It has as a member, it has a $55,000 life insurance policy that's tied to it, and it has a $5,000 accidental medical policy that's tied to it, kind of like an Aflac type idea. And more importantly, the thing that I'm about to use, it has a disaster policy where if, for example, Hurricane Ian rips through the state of Florida and guys lose their way of making a living because their pools just aren't there anymore, the policy will cover you up to $10,000.
Wow.
So it works in the fire areas of California, the freeze zone when Texas had the big freezes last year. I think it was last year. The big
2 years ago, wasn't it?
2, yeah.
That when they had the freezes, we're about to use it because just as I sit 25 miles south of me, is totally destroyed. So
is that insurance, is that something that is available to members, something
Yes.
that is automatic with membership?
No,
or
it's available to you. You do not need it to be a member of IPSA.
Okay.
It's only available to members for the price point that it is. But if a member came in and decided that they liked their policy that they had, then by all means keep the policy that they have. What we do for bigger companies that have multiple employees is at that point we turn you over to Ray. You are a member of IPSA, and then Ray goes ahead and sits down with you and writes a policy specifically designed for your company as to what you want your deductibles to be and what you want to be covered, and then it gives an IPSA discount on top of that. So it's still very competitive and very, we hope, less than what you could get on the open market.
Yeah. Wow. That's great. The aspect of finding knowing what is available in terms of insurance for people that aren't already down that road. So many of us are so busy just running the business, doing the job, that kind of stuff, to have an organization we can turn to who can say, hey, look, we've kind of got a foot in the door, if you will, and this is an easy way to get you the insurance that you really should have. I mean, honestly, all of us should be insured to cover us for as much as we're able, and hope that we never have to use it. But if we do, that's the whole point of it. So that's that's an angle that other organizations in the industry don't really do a lot with. And I'm involved in PHTA on many levels, and certainly know a lot of people, and am very good friends with people from NESPA and that. And it's interesting to see how these different organizations have different things that they bring to the table for people who are members and want to help themselves to some better options like insurance. That's cool. I like that. Kelly, did you have you encountered a need, or anyone that you know of that's encountered a need for that kind of coverage in what you've been doing through the years?
I get my insurance through IPSA. I haven't had to use it, thank God, but I pay for insurance not to use it.
Exactly.
That's what we all hope
if something
for.
bad's going to happen, it'll happen, to you or me. But I have, when it came to the Tech for Tech, I have used that twice. When I was pregnant with my youngest son, I used it for maternity leave. I had to stop working about 3 weeks before he was born. So they took care of my route and everything for me. What they did was they divided up the pools I had, and then went from there. If I didn't have it, I definitely wouldn't have my business anymore. The second time that I did, I had to have emergency surgery. So luckily my route, when I told them, hey, I need help, they were able to implement it pretty fast. It's not always the case, but in some situations, it's not like you're going to wait for months for it to be implemented, but sometimes, it could take a couple days, maybe a week or so. It just depends on how organized you have the paperwork to give to the chapter to know where to go. So there are sick route cards that you have to turn in. Like there's one, it's a blue card you have to put down, like the zip codes and how many pools you have in those zip codes. And then those you keep with your chapter once a year, update it. But then there's a yellow card, which has your customer's information on it, what type of service, dog's name, like everything you would need to know. And then they take care of the pool for you.
Wow. That's awesome.
And just so you know, we are updating to the 20th century or 21st century. The card system will start to vanish because we have teamed up with Skimmer, and Skimmer has a program where we can overlap this on Google Map and be able to do the same thing via the dawn age of a computer.
That would be so nice, and
Wow.
I think that would really make it easier when implementing Tech for Tech.
Yep. So yes,
I love that.
We just became a partnership with Skimmer 2 months ago.
Okay.
So
I love Skimmer.
They're
amazing.
So with that Tech for Tech, does when somebody like you, Kelly, when you had the need to draw on that, IPSA, then so what do you do, Todd, as far as the organization? Do you just reach out to membership and say, hey, we've got someone in this area, this is what they need, who's ready for the challenge, kind of thing?
So usually how it works is your chapter has already got its sick route policy in place, its program, and in that program will be the boundary limits of your pools have to be in this boundary of whatever that may be. I can speak for here in Sarasota, Florida. Our boundary is a huge boundary. I think we encompass almost 180 square miles. So the biggest one that I've had to do is we had my current sick route chairman, Rick, developed skin cancer on the bottom of his foot. And we ended up taking care of his pools for almost 6 months. And it was just the idea of, okay, here's where the pools are. Like Kelly said, we had our cards. And we just showed up at a meeting one night, and everybody said, okay, I'm by this pool, I'm by this pool, I'm by this pool. And the chapter members just went ahead and divvied up what they were close by. Rick, I was lucky enough that Rick was still coherent, that he could talk to his customers and all that. So he still ran the relationships with his customers to tell them what was happening, how it was going to work, and any questions would run through Rick, not through my chapter members. And it worked out pretty smooth. I've just did one for the first time, and I'm a new region in Florida, so we don't do it as often as California does. But so my Stewart, Florida chapter under Paulette just did theirs for the first time, where I believe Bill had I'm not quite sure what his episode. Anyway, it was emergency and ended up being an emergency. And so within a week almost a week, Paulette had thrown everything together, divided it up amongst her chapters, her members, and they did it for 4 weeks for him. So
you do have to have some sort of like documentation that it is like a legitimate thing you're going to be out of. You can't think, oh, I'm going to be going on vacation for 3 weeks. Let's just say, hey, something medical. Like you have to have like a note or something.
Last week in Mexico, you guys wouldn't have helped me out there.
That might not have been covered.
Well, that what the to that point, the aspect of an individual who is an IPSA member who isn't part of a huge company with a ton of ability to cover and reorganize and make sure everything is getting done, to use that as a marketing tool as I'm trying to promote myself as an individual and say, hey, if by chance something happens to me, I've got this whole army behind me of IPSA who's going to step in and make sure your pool is kept up to snuff and your family's going to be able to enjoy it and continue on if I happen to have to go in for some kind of an emergency, whatever, for a couple weeks. I
actually would. That was part of my talk with customers when I would sign them on is, hey, one thing that sets me apart from maybe the next guy is if something happens to me, I have some sort of backup plan. It's not like, hey, something happens to me, you're screwed.
Yeah.
Literally, I'd just be like, yeah, this is what happens. And they'd be like, oh my gosh, that's great, because that is a fear of people. Is what's going to happen. If you are just one person, what are you going to do when something happens to you? Or I'm signing up customers while I'm pregnant, and it's obvious I'm pregnant. And they're like, so when you go for maternity leave, what are you doing? And I would tell them this is the plan, and they'd be like, oh, okay, that's fine. Can we still call you? And I'm like, yeah, no problem.
Right. That is really cool from, like I said, from the aspect of comfort for your clients, for your customers to know that they're not going to be left out on their own, should something happen, whether it's an emergency type of thing or even a planned thing as it may be that you have to do health wise, that for everybody has friends and family that help them do things at times, right? And hey, I need to run some power out to my shed, or I need to, I got a drip on my sink, and I've got a friend that's a plumber, and when you ask them, hey, I need this done, can you give me a hand? It's always, how long is it before they actually get around to you, kind of a thing, right? And this tech for tech thing with IPSA, just to me, shows that you're a legitimate business, right? It puts you, like you're saying, above the people who don't have any kind of security, any kind of a backup plan. So I love that.
And I think really, like, because of everything we've gone over the last few years with COVID, is a great example of why tech for tech is important to have. For those people who got COVID and they have it for a lot longer than normal, they're not going to lose everything. I have a friend who got COVID and is not a part of IPSA, and he was in the hospital for like 2 months, and there's no one to do his pools. His employee got COVID. And so, since some of us are nice, we banded together and helped him. But how often do people have that option?
Yeah, right. Wow. Very cool.
And young people need to realize you're not invincible. It can happen to you. Yes, I was pregnant, but I was only 30,
Yeah.
Things happen. Car accidents happen. Accidents at work happen. COVID happens. The flu. Like, how are you going to keep your business? There were many times I would go out to bid a job. The pool would be green, and they would tell me, yeah, my pool person got sick or injured, and they kind of left me high and dry because they lost all their other accounts because they couldn't be there for their pools. How did you get into IPSA? Like, what got you there? Like, I know me, it's if you work in pools, you do IPSA, but
actually, back in the day, IPSA had tried to come into Florida a couple of times and it never took effect. I happened to belong to another association, and they just did a due increase. And I was flipping through a pool and spa news magazine, and there was an advertisement in the back of it. And so I picked up the phone and called, and it just so happens by chance, Derek Raymond out of Orlando had called within 20 minutes of my call. And so Jim Romanowski jumped on an airplane and flew out here, met with myself and met with Derek, and we started the first 2 chapters in Florida.
Oh, wow.
So it really came off an ad in the pool and spa service. So.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
What markets, Todd, is IPSA in currently?
California, northern and southern, Arizona, parts of Nevada in that Vegas market, all of Texas, all of Florida. I dabble into Georgia a little bit out of my region. And currently we're in the process of a virtual chapter, which is starting to pick up steam and starting to pick up individuals throughout the country. So like if I've got, for example, Florida with the Panhandle. The Panhandle is an 8-hour ride for me to get to from Tampa Bay area. So it's been really beneficial to be able to say, hey, I've got this virtual chapter. You can join, and we meet once a month. Paulette runs that for me in the state of Florida, and so it's conducted just as a normal meeting, as if you were in person. We bring in speakers, the whole bit. So we've been able to reach out that way. In Florida, I've got 6 in-person chapters. Arizona has, I believe, 8 chapters. Texas, total Texas North and Texas South, sits at 19 chapters. And then California, they're all over the place.
Wow, that's great. That's a lot of membership. As you being just sort of in the thick of Hurricane Ian down there in Florida, we always, at Talking Pools, try to offer help in any ways that is within our reach to do. Is there anything that of that Florida needs right now that we can help get the word out, or we can help to try to mobilize people beyond what IPSA is doing already?
A lot. It's still that freshness. So a lot of the churches and a lot of the other associations and organizations are really piling into the state as far as helping out Fort Myers, Port Charlotte, Inglewood, Cape Coral. We set up through the IPSA Florida. It's called Florida Fund, which is it's a state-run association, but it deals just in money. So they just take donations and then make sure it gets to Port Charlotte. After the storm hit, I had so the west coast of Florida. So I'm Tampa Bay. If you look at the state of Florida and you see Tampa Bay in the center, I'm just to the south of Tampa Bay. So the storm basically was from me south. We had 106-mile-an-hour winds blowing on us for a while. So all I have is really trees and a lot of messy pools. But as you got 20 miles south of me, they had a storm surge. As you got 50 miles, their storm surge was at 4 feet. As you got 85 miles, their storm surge was, we think, as high as 12 feet. So Fort Myers Beach is totally destroyed. So what we've done is, in as far as IPSA goes, I had my chapters on the west coast, or on the east coast, I'm sorry. They had supplies ready to go to bring over to us. I have one chapter in Port Charlotte that is the chapter that was hit the hardest. We've been working with the FSPA, which is the Florida Swimming Pool Association. They've got people that were down there's 2 chapters that they have down south. SCP and Horner and Gorman have all donated generators and chainsaws and things like that to a lot of different pool guys down south. So for the time being, we're all kind of waiting to see what now they need as the water's starting to recede. So it is pretty much, it looks like a bomb went off in places down there. It's really interesting to see. I went down, my sister had a place in Fort Myers, and so she had 4.5 feet of water in her place. And so just the drive down there, it'll take years for them to get back to where they were before the storm hit.
Yeah, I've got family that has properties in that area, and being that I'm in the Chicago market, my winters are the most fantastic weather events of nothing but sunshine and rainbows from about now until April. So my wife and I try to get out of town as frequently as possible through the winter to avoid this miserable climate. And Fort Myers Beach is a place that we've gone to every year for I can't tell you how long, and seeing the pictures and the drone videos of what was once, not just us, but everybody, right? I mean, all kinds of people went there, and seeing complete businesses and homes and everything just gone. It's amazing. A lot of the places we frequent down there, I know have been around for decades, and it's all that's left is a concrete slab. There's nothing there, and seeing that devastation, and even if a business was extremely well insured that they could rebuild, just like our industry has had so much difficulty in the last couple of years with supplies and so on, the rebuilding process is going to be just horribly long. And some of the things that the local beach bars that we like to frequent, the neat part of it was a lot of the old history that was hanging on the walls, and that stuff is gone, right? So you might be able to rebuild a building that the business was in, but it's going to be forever changed down there. And certainly as time goes by and some more, if there's ever anything that we can help through our podcast and getting the word out that Florida could use some help with, please let us know, and we'll do everything we can to spread out the word.
Hearing from me, because what we're worried about is as everything starts to get cleaned up and you start to try to rebuild, is we were already dealing with shortages of you can't get a variable speed Pentair motor here. So, now I've got a whole, on top of all the brand new construction and all that, now I've got all this other stuff that we're not sure where we're going to get all the parts from.
Yeah. Well, and to that point, we're kind of entering into a phase of industry where there's going to be some availability of product in different markets, right? you know,
Yeah.
things are getting caught up. Many of us who have been fortunate enough to be able to stock up well in advance because of lead times and so on and so forth are now being very conscious of the inventory levels we've got, given that the swelling surge of demand is starting to wane a little bit in the industry. So I think that there are a lot of companies out there that would potentially have product available, and you know, maybe we can work to help try to gather those resources and say, hey, you know, it's a matter of doing what maybe some of the local well, and local distribution and other wholesale angles and so forth down in that market have been
Destroyed.
in some cases destroyed as well. So if you know, if some of us can load up trailers from the Midwest full of stuff and bring it down, you know, maybe that's a way that we can help. And the other part of it too is the timing. As unfortunate as the event is, you know, the Midwest is kind of nearing the end of the season, right? And the Northeast, I know, is going to be doing the same. You know, when the freeze hit in Texas, the unfortunate part was the rest of the country rather, was just gearing up for the year, right? So
Yeah.
February into March, and we're all starting to rock and roll to where we have a hard time keeping up with our own demand. Well, right now, for the next, you know, 4 or 5 months as we head into November here, maybe there's some ability for companies in the snow belt areas to do a little bit to help out those of us in Florida who have been so traumatized and destroyed by Hurricane Ian. You know, if it's in the cards, you know, maybe we can
I will
do
definitely
something,
reach
whether
out.
it's product or labor or whatever it may be. And you know, if Kelly and I and the rest of us here at Talking Pools can help get the word out and spread whatever potential there may be, we're absolutely wanting to help you guys with all that.
I appreciate
Yes.
that.
We do have a struggle with the younger people not understanding the importance of things outside of their business, I guess you can say. You know, how can IPSA help them to become the better pool professional, to make them succeed and see their dreams become reality?
Well, the first thing we need to do is explain to the younger generation what an association is. I grew up with my parents and my grandparents belonging to Elks or Kiwanis or you know, just different associations that would do different things. And in the younger generation that I've talked to here in Florida, that is non-existent. There's a gap between what your grandparents did and what you do now. So once you explain the job of an association, and you take let's take a single polar, for example, a guy that just bought his route, just moved down here and bought 50 pools, and he wants to start his business. What I hope to accomplish through IPSA is that he would come to IPSA. We can set him on what we like to call the path to professionalism, where we hook him up with the idea of what he needs insurance in the state of Florida, what he needs in his licensing to do the jobs that he wants to do. Maybe take some courses that I've never met a pool guy that did not know how to maintain a great pool. I've met a lot of pool guys who just had a hard time on the backside of the business stuff. And so if I can be a mentor and IPSA can be a mentor, and we can offer the classes through people like David Hawes and things like that, where I can teach you how to set a budget, how to set a profit margin, how to set what your insurance needs may be, kind of making IPSA the resource center that every question that you could possibly have to make you better, you come to IPSA, and if I don't have the answer, I can find the answer.
Yeah.
And then the idea that I can take you into the chapter, and you've got in most chapters, you probably have 1,000 years of experience, and there's nothing better that an old timer doesn't like to do but to talk about what he's seen or done in the industry. And most of those guys, and the beauty of IPSA is most of those guys are willing to give their information and give their expertise and knowledge to the new guys coming in. And so you just learn and you work with your guys, and all of a sudden now you're to the point where you can hire a guy. Well, once you hire that first employee, then your whole business changes. Now you have a bell curve to think about. Now you have the idea that, okay, now it's not just me that's relying on my business, but now I have an employee with a family, and I've got to make sure to provide for him. And then you get to a point where now you're good enough for 2 employees. And, it'd be nothing better for me to have a guy come in with 50 pools that he just bought, and 5 years down the road, he's running 10 employees and just knocking it out of the park. That to me is a success story for IPSA.
Yeah, I'll say when I first started, yeah, I had my dad and all, but IPSA probably helped me establish my business in a different way than some, to where if I had questions, I would go and I can ask anybody at the meeting. If I needed help in the field, I can call anybody and they would help out. They helped me, a lot of companies, I would meet other people in the chapter, and if they didn't service an area, they would give a referral. If they had overflow, like they're just not taking on anymore, they would refer me because they knew that, one, I'm trying to be the best employee, but pool professional as possible. So it definitely gave me a good jump start.
You become part of the family.
Yeah.
Your family. And
yeah. One of my members watches my kids. Their daughter watches my kids, and we have a mini trade show, but it's more of like a family feel and everybody getting along and being friends and enjoying yourself. It's not always business, but obviously they are, like you said, a great resource for me if I need help. Or now I get to do that, and I do find with IPSA that all of us want to pay it forward because of what others did for us.
So the idea that I started in this as a summer job in 1985. So I've been doing this a really long time. And it's been...
I was born in 1985.
See?
Oh, geez. All right, Kelly, I'm muting you right now.
But it's been a business that when my daughter was born, my wife could stay at home with Isabel and not have to work. And what I liked about the pool industry is if Isabel had... I could go to eat lunch with her. I could stop and just go eat lunch with her. I could go to her functions that they were doing during the day that, I didn't have to punch a clock. I could just, okay, I'm going to go take care of this and go see Isabel, and then I'm going back to work. Yeah. It's provided a nice, I got her through college without having to owe anything. So now it's my turn to pay it back. It's like, This industry has done a lot for me, and it's time to get that next crowd of guys coming up, and gals, because I think more gals are getting into the pool industry now than guys.
Well, especially with the flexibility of the pool industry, like you're describing, and I will tell you, me becoming a single mom, if I was in any probably other industry that I've done, I couldn't afford it. Like pool industry, what it was when that transition happened, my membership was there to support me however I needed it. And, it's nice to have that little backup in it. And I think another thing that people think is you have to go to a million meetings.
Nope.
You don't have to. Like it's reasonable, and people, and that's where you're going to meet people. That's where you're going to get that education. That's where you're going to, like you said, IPSA will give you these stepping stones to become a professional.
Yeah, see, and a lot of that is and I know I do things a lot different in Florida than say some of the regions in California. Some of our, I've got some chapters, we don't call them meetings anymore. We just call them meet and greets, and just held somewhere. And yeah, there might be 15 minutes of of the business part of the chapter, the treasurer's report and things like that. But for the most part, it's bring your kids, bring your wife, bring your husband. It's all a big family.
I would bring my baby. Up until he was like a year old, and he'd run around, and everyone would pass him around as we're conducting the meeting. And that's how it had always been. Even when I was a kid, I went and volunteered in high school, and everyone knew me from the IPSA meetings. And, if you need to bring your kids, you can bring your kids. No one's going to judge you,
the beauty of like Florida. So the five ladies and guys that really were involved in starting Florida were Paulette, Anna, Derek, myself. We all had kids that were the same age. So when we would do the trade shows and the region meetings, all the kids came. And so it's kind of it's the bonus feature is I've gotten to watch everybody else's kids grow up and graduate high school and graduate college, and it's kind of it's that to me is makes it all worth it.
Oh yeah. No, I honestly think IPSA still has a lot to offer, and we acknowledge the change in time and what may have been the importance 30 years ago or 40 years ago. We're going with the way we need to, and we can help a lot of people. They just have
5
to.
years ago.
It's like, just try it out.
So it's like just even so. This
Oh
is
yeah.
my third go round as sitting as president. So even just 5 years ago when I left the board, the things that have changed in business and technology and the industry, you can't run it the same way anymore. You have to change or you become extinct.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Todd, for talking with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, Todd,
And-
if people are interested in getting in touch with IPSA or looking into it, how do they reach out to you? Where do they go?
The best way is ipsa.com. And that'll take you right to the website, and all the numbers for Rose and the numbers for the regional directors is on that. If they're in the state of Florida, my cell number that you can reach me at is area code 941-915-2135. In the publications, where are we on? Pool Pro. We're usually in there, and there's a QR code that's on that advertisement. Again, that will take you to the website and give you the national phone numbers into Rose's office, and from there we can funnel you out either if you're not in a region or not in an area. I can funnel you into the affiliate chapter. If you are in a region, I can funnel you to that director or that local president.
Yeah, that's great. And for our listeners who are challenged as like I am with letters and words and all that kind of stuff, IPSA.com is IPSSA.com.
Correct.
It's IPSS. Okay, just want to make sure because, like I said, Kelly, I fail with all that kind of stuff.
Well, it's like you're talking about the Mac and NPC and this, everything in the pool industry is letters.
Yeah, right. And I'll say, the aspect of you just now giving out your cell phone number to people who are interested, it speaks to the dedication that you have not only to IPSA but to the industry as a whole. And although this is my first meeting you, Todd, I want to thank you for all that you do and all that you've done. And obviously you're a huge help to everybody in the industry, and I'm glad to have this opportunity to talk with you today.
I appreciate being here. Thank you.
Please like us, download us. Let us know if there's anything you would like us to talk about. You can email us at talkingpools@gmail.com or message any of us on social media. You probably already know who we are. So we will talk to you guys again next week. And yeah, have a good day.
Thanks, everyone. We'll see you again next week.